Sakamoto strolled out of a building, sword in hand and gun at the ready, when boom, an explosion rocked the place. A group of assassins appeared, guns blazing. But Sakamoto, he just swiped his sword, deflecting all the bullets like he was swatting flies. In a flash, he charged, slicing one assassin and showering another in blood. A quick shot took down the second guy. 2 more rushed him, but Sakamoto strangled one and shot the other. The rest, they opened fire with machine guns, but Sakamoto dodged every single bullet. He shot them all down, leaving just one poor soul standing, frantically searching for him. Sakamoto popped up out of nowhere and put a quick end to that guy. Later, Sakamoto ditched his criminal past and started a quiet life. He met a beautiful woman while shopping, fell in love, married her, and they had a kid. He even opened a shop and became the perfect family man. Then, one day, Shin, an old gang buddy, showed up. Sakamoto was busy playing with a kid who often visited, trying to hit a target with a fake arrow. He missed, and while getting ready for another go, he accidentally spilled ink all over a customer's clothes. The angry man grabbed the boy and started yelling. Sakamoto just watched as the man kept going. But when the guy raised his hand to strike the boy, Sakamoto stepped in. He briefly imagined taking the guy down with a pen but thought better of it. The man stormed out, insulting Sakamoto along the way. The boy thanked Sakamoto for stepping in, and Sakamoto's wife and daughter comforted him. Shin, observing everything, praised Sakamoto's speed and restraint, even revealing that he could read minds. He pointed out that Sakamoto could have easily dealt with the man earlier. Sakamoto briefly considered striking Shin for a second, but then dismissed the thought. Shin asked if Sakamoto had truly turned his back on his violent past, and if the shop was his new chapter. He also couldn't help but comment on how much weight Sakamoto had gained, urging him to return to his old ways. Sakamoto just shrugged, saying he wasn't the same anymore. Shin tried to remind him of his fearsome past, how leaders feared and respected him. But Sakamoto, he kept eating, ignoring the whole thing. Shin sighed, mentioning how Sakamoto used to eat street food and never anything so fancy. As Shin lit a cigarette, Sakamoto snatched it away, pointing to a no-smoking sign. Shin blinked, realizing it wasn't just a suggestion, it was a subtle threat. Sakamoto could take him out if he wanted to. Before Shin could react, a man on a bicycle showed up and asked Sakamoto for help. Shin was shocked to see Sakamoto being so kind, but he followed anyway. The man needed help with a tree in his yard that had gotten way too big. Sakamoto pruned it in a flash, leaving Shin stunned. Next, a woman arrived, saying her daughter wouldn't eat. Sakamoto fixed that too, feeding the girl. Later, he dealt with 2 kids fighting over a ball, cutting it in half and ending their argument. Frustrated, Shin accused Sakamoto of hiding his true self behind acts of kindness. He called Sakamoto's appearance disgraceful and stormed off. Just before leaving, a little kid threw a toy arrow at Shin's head and ran off, causing Shin to snap at the child. As he got into his car, he reflected on how much time had passed since he'd last seen Sakamoto. Sure, Sakamoto had put on some weight, but he was still as fast as ever. Despite his frustration, Shin couldn't help but feel a little happy, secretly wishing he and Sakamoto could team up again. Then, his boss called. "Did you convince Sakamoto to come back?" the boss asked. "No," Shin replied. "Did you kill him?" the boss pressed. "No," Shin answered again, explaining that Sakamoto had gained weight and wasn't a threat anymore. This infuriated the boss, who reminded Shin of the gang's rule. Anyone who retires must be eliminated. If you don't do it, someone else will, and you're next. Shin, feeling the pressure, ended the call abruptly. He went to buy supplies, took a bath, had a meal, and lay in bed, thinking about his boss's ultimatum. He realized that if he didn't act, someone else would harm Sakamoto. So, with weapon in hand, he made up his mind to handle it himself. The next day, Shin showed up at Sakamoto's store, claiming he was leaving the country and wanted to say goodbye. Then, without warning, Shin pulled out his gun and fired at Sakamoto. But Sakamoto deflected the bullet midair with a hard candy from his mouth. He then vanished. leaving Shin searching the store, unable to read his thoughts. Sakamoto, ever the trickster, distracted Shin with chocolates, making him lose focus. Then, using candy as projectiles, Sakamoto launched rapid strikes that Shin narrowly dodged. Shin tried to fire again, but Sakamoto threw a pack of pastries at him, throwing off his aim. Frustrated, Shin tried searching again, only to be blindsided when Sakamoto appeared behind him and knocked him out cold. As he lost consciousness, Shin caught a glimpse of the old Sakamoto, strong, fearsome, and as unstoppable as ever. Shin woke up in Sakamoto's home, greeted by Sakamoto's daughter. Shin, confused by the domestic surroundings, saw Sakamoto's wife preparing a big meal. She asked how much rice he wanted, and Shin, still suspicious, replied, "Not much," thinking the food might be poisoned. He reassured himself that he could handle it. But as he ate, the food was so delicious, he couldn't help but admit he'd never tasted anything so good. He complimented her cooking, and she joked that his reaction reminded her of Sakamoto in his younger days. Meanwhile, Sakamoto was feeding his daughter, and Shin reflected on the happy family moment, something Sakamoto had earned after leaving his violent past behind. As Shin was about to leave, Sakamoto escorted him out, and Shin, embarrassed, thanked him for the meal. Sakamoto pointed to a sign outside the shop that read, "We hope to see you again." Back at the gang's hideout, the boss confronted Shin, demanding to know if he'd killed Sakamoto. When Shin stayed silent, the boss got furious. "It's disgraceful you didn't finish the job." Shin, however, pleaded with the boss to leave Sakamoto alone. The other gang members laughed at him. The boss asked why Shin was so protective of Sakamoto, and Shin explained that Sakamoto now had a family and was no longer the same person. Shin even offered to sacrifice himself to spare Sakamoto. The boss coldly responded, "If you want to save Sakamoto, kill yourself." But Shin, reading the boss's thoughts, calmly revealed, "I never trusted you." Shocked, the boss ordered the gang to kill Shin, not realizing that Sakamoto was listening in from his shop with a hidden device. Using his quick thinking, Sakamoto turned his shop into a makeshift armory and grabbed a gun. Meanwhile, Shin fought back, taking out 4 gang members with his weapon. One of the gang tried to sneak up on him, but Shin was ready, delivering a swift neck kick that knocked him out cold. Another gang member, aiming a heavy weapon at Shin, was outwitted when Shin read his mind and dodged the attack. The boss, frustrated with the lack of progress, gathered the remaining gang members. He explained that Shin could read minds and ordered them to attack from a distance. Surrounding Shin, they closed in, but he was running low on ammo. He made his move, taking down 2 more gang members before a bullet hit his leg, leaving him immobilized. The gang aimed their guns at him, but just as things looked grim, Sakamoto arrived. With surgical precision, Sakamoto incapacitated the gang members around Shin. The boss, furious, immediately ordered the gang to kill him. But Sakamoto countered every attack. He used chopsticks to disarm and defeat several of the gang members, caught bullets with them, and even used pens to take out others. With a single leap, he grabbed a rope and used it to take out even more. Sakamoto then grabbed a weapon from one gang member and expertly dodged a stab attempt from another. He knocked out the attacker with a punch and faced the gang leader, who ordered his men to shoot Sakamoto. But Sakamoto, moving like a blur, dodged the bullets and destroyed the leader's gun, swiftly taking down the remaining attackers. Shin, impressed, asked how Sakamoto had found him. Sakamoto casually picked up Shin's gun and showed him the listening device he'd planted earlier. Shin, amazed by Sakamoto's foresight, admitted he was always right. Before Shin could finish his thought, Sakamoto tossed him a work shirt and told him he'd be working at the shop now. At the store, Shin and Sakamoto donned their work uniforms, with Shin complaining that Sakamoto's eating habits were making the noodles disappear too quickly. Sakamoto's wife and daughter arrived, and the little girl ran over to hug Shin tightly. Later, Shin helped an elderly lady find something in the store, and a young boy asked him to play. Shin said he'd play after finishing his work, and the kid asked if he liked his new job. Shin replied, "It's better than my old one," but the kid pressed further, asking what his old job was. Shin, reading Sakamoto's thoughts, realized Sakamoto was silently threatening to kill him if he revealed the truth. Nervously, Shin told the kid he used to be a cleaner. Sakamoto, without a word, continued eating, and Shin kept restocking the shelves like a pro. As Sakamoto arrived, Shin couldn't resist commenting on the previous fight, praising Sakamoto's combat skills despite his weight gain. Annoyed, Sakamoto told him to get back to work. Shin's admiration caught the attention of Sakamoto's wife, who asked if he had been fighting again. Sakamoto quickly denied it, as she reminded him of their no fighting rule breaking it meant divorce. Later, the duo headed to Chinatown, where Sakamoto bought pork for his family. While Shin admired his dedication, their trip took a turn when a young girl named Oh accidentally broke a window and landed on Sakamoto, ruining his meat. Furious, Sakamoto's frustration was interrupted by a gang chasing Oh. Oh, unfazed, quickly defeated most of her pursuers with impressive combat skills. When a thug grabbed her and another aimed a knife, Sakamoto intervened, breaking the knife with a food utensil and taking the man down. Shin fought off others, while Oh disarmed and incapacitated the remaining gang members. As more reinforcements arrived, Sakamoto grabbed Oh and fled with Shin through the chaos. At their hideout, the gang's leader, Dan, scolded his men for failing to capture Oh, emphasizing the importance of the key she carried, which controlled the black market. His ruthless brother Bito executed one of the gang members, vowing to kill anyone in their way. Meanwhile, Oh revealed to Sakamoto and Shin that she was the daughter of a mafia boss. The key she carried unlocked her family's treasures, which her parents had entrusted to her before their demise. Despite Shin suggesting she hand it over, Oh refused, leaping away to protect them and the key. Sakamoto stopped Shin from following, silently weighing their next move. Sakamoto turned to Oh and asked if she could cook pork. She confidently replied that her father had taught her. Sakamoto, eager to end the chaos, made a deal. He'd handle the gang if she cooked for them afterward. Before Shin could react, danger struck. Bito appeared, landing a powerful kick on Sakamoto and trapping him in a nearby building with the gang. Shin panicked, while Lu, observing nearby, acknowledged the worsening situation. Sun mocked Bito's diminishing skill, while Bito brushed it off, relishing in the thrill of killing. Lu explained to Shin that the brothers, Bito and Sun, were infamous assassins who delighted in tormenting their victims. Amid their banter, Shin attacked Sun, only to have his strike easily blocked. Sun taunted Shin, who confidently countered that no one understood Sakamoto's true strength. As Bito tried to ambush Lu, Sakamoto delivered a crushing punch, sending Bito through the floor. Unfazed, Sun taunted Lu, asking her to surrender the key. Lu refused, revealing it was her father's final gift, a vault key holding her family's legacy. Sun scoffed, but when Lu lunged at him in anger, Sakamoto intervened to stop her. Lu explained her father had died protecting the key from these men. When Sun threw a knife at her, Sakamoto caught it effortlessly, standing firm. Sun mocked Sakamoto for interfering, but Sakamoto remained calm, reflecting on a promise to his wife to stop killing and help others. With renewed resolve, he declared, "That's my rule, I don't kill." The brothers launched a synchronized attack, but Sakamoto skillfully evaded every strike with ease, catching knives mid-air like it was second nature. Frustrated, the brothers regrouped, baffled by Sakamoto's composure. Despite their relentless attempts, Sakamoto remained untouchable, his mastery leaving them stunned. Shin watched Sakamoto effortlessly handle the battle and asked, "You good?" Sakamoto, with a faint smile, replied, "Just a bit sore." Frustrated, Sun demanded, "How is he doing this?" Bato grinned. "I think we know what to do next." Before Bato could act, Sakamoto knocked him out with a single blow. Sun lunged but had his weapon shattered. Realizing defeat, Sun tried to escape, aiming for Lu, but Shin intercepted, yanking him down with a rope. Sakamoto sealed the deal by dropping a fridge on him. Lu, astonished, asked, "Who are you really?" Sakamoto replied casually, "Just shop workers, munching on crab." Meanwhile, Dan fumed in his office, unable to crack the vault. Suddenly, Lu appeared, knife at his throat. Panicked, Dan begged for mercy, but Lu silenced him. "Nothing will bring my father back," she said, leaving him trembling. The group turned to the vault, which Lu finally opened, revealing treasures. Amid the awe, Shin grabbed a book, only for Lu to snatch it back. Inside a small container, Lu found a letter from her father, expressing gratitude and a fond memory. As they sat eating pork together, Lu reflected, "It feels like so much was lost to get here."